This is probably the perfect time to jump on the Deadpool hype train. Well, maybe not. Anyways, let's see what he's up to next.
Closed. Are you watching me sleep this whole time? Freak.
What the fuck? The Deadpool video game was released in 2013, well before the surge in Deadpool's popularity, and even before the 2014 test footage leak that led to the movie. While 20th Century Fox was hesitant to invest heavily in an anti-hero film, Activision poured over $100 million into developing the Deadpool game, nearly double the $58 million budget of the Deadpool movie, which is pretty wild.
There it is! It's beautiful! Take your hat off, boy, that's a dollar bill!
However, the game didn't receive much attention or the same love that the movies eventually did. Even worse, it didn't make much money.
I deserved better.
Alright, without further ado, let's dive right into the video and see how the Deadpool video game holds up in 2024.
Maximum effort.
When Deadpool's pitch for the most awesome game ever, starring himself, gets rejected by High Moon Studios, he takes matters into his own hands by setting off explosives at the studio, leaving them no choice but to cooperate. He even hires Nolan North as his voice actor. But when the game's script is finally delivered to him, Deadpool finds it boring.
Lame.
After skimming through the opening lines of the script, Deadpool embarks on a mission to eliminate corrupt media mogul Chance White. He slaughters White's mercenaries and hurls White out of his penthouse window, crashing into the sewer below. However, all his stunts blew the game's budget in the process.
The hell we don't.
Even despite his efforts, White manages to escape with the Marauders, prompting Deadpool to give a chase. As he pursues them, Deadpool encounters the first of many glitches, thanks to his reckless spending, which forces him to call High Moon Studios and tell them to fix it ASAP.
Well, use the money I transferred to your account and patch this shit. Now! Money well spent.
However, Deadpool stumbles upon a meeting between White and game's main villain, Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister has two mutant henchmen, Vertigo and Blockbuster. Sinister orders Blockbuster to kill White after learning that the White satellites are now under his control. Furious as losing his bounty, Deadpool kills Vertigo, knocks out Blockbuster, and confronts Mr. Sinister, only to be effortlessly reduced to a disembodied head. And then Mr. Sinister makes his exit to Genosha with Blockbuster. After regenerating, Deadpool wakes up to find X-Men members Wolverine, Rogue, Psylocke, and Domino, who are attempting to stop Mr. Sinister's plan to conquer the world with his clone army. Deciding to join forces, Deadpool pilots the X-Men's jet Blackbird to Genosha, which is Sinister's base, but this asshole ends up crashing the plane, leaving the X-Men unconscious. Since the X-Men are unconscious, Deadpool leaves to proceed alone to defeat Mr. Sinister.
Rise and shine, Stubby. Wake up! That's because the player keeps mashing the button. I guess he's not waking up.
Curious.
Looks like we're flying solo, boys.
So the campaign mode is packed with fantastic fourth wall breaking segments, but the story itself is paper thin. Then again, none of us really expecting a serious story from Deadpool anyways, right? Come on, he's Deadpool, not Batman.
Who are you? I'm Batman.
Once Deadpool kicks off his first mission, the game drops us into a series of tutorial missions. Here we learn the basics, primary and secondary melee moves, plus how to mix them up for some killer combos.
Player, read that shit. Do whatever High Moon says.
Deadpool can also dodge enemy attacks by teleporting. However, it's a limited feature. We can't just mindlessly tap the teleport button to avoid all enemy attacks, so we need to use it wisely. Plus, as we keep hitting enemies with melee attacks, we build up a momentum gauge. When it's full, we can unleash a powerful momentum attack that deals massive damage. Plus, as we progress, we'll unlock new abilities that use momentum, which can be especially useful when surrounded by enemies.
The higher your combo, the faster you can earn momentum to do awesome moves like that. We can get more momentum moves by upgrading our weapons.
The game also features a mechanic similar to the Arkham games, where an icon appears above an enemy's head, indicating when to press the dodge button for a counter-attack. However, unlike the Arkham games, since the counter-attack and dodge use the same button, you will sometimes end up counter-attacking when you actually need to dodge. So using a different button for counter-attacks could fix this issue. And in tight corridors and narrow spaces, the camera visibility gets significantly reduced, which makes it tougher to control and see everything clearly.
Hey, player! You coming or what? Dumbass. Move that camera and find me.
Oh, come on, it's not my fault the camera's fucked up. This asshole is so gonna get a shitty rating. And there are other melee weapons like the scythes and hammers, but we can complete the entire game using just the swords, so upgrading and using the scythes and hammers doesn't add much to the gameplay. However, it's crucial to use all throwables and guns during combat, as the game becomes more challenging, so it's better to spend your DP points on these rather than on scythes and hammers. Combat isn't limited to melee attacks. Deadpool can also use variety of guns. The game lets you aim with the left trigger and shoot with the right trigger, so aiming switches to an over-the-shoulder view just like in most third-person shooters. We can also shoulder switch while shooting to get a better angle on enemies. It's a small but a handy feature I didn't expect in a hack and slash game like this, and the shooting has a solid impact with satisfying audio effects. Plus, when we take down large enemies, we can grab their weapons and use them ourselves. We even can combine melee moves with shooting, which is a small but nice touch to the combat. However, when we aim, it stays in the over-the-shoulder view. Even if we release the aim button, the view only changes back once we perform a melee attack, which can be a bit annoying. Besides guns, we also get throwables like grenades, flashbangs, bear traps and landmines. These can be used tactically. Flashbangs stun enemies, grenades deal massive damage, landmines can take out enemies when they step on them, and bear traps help keep enemies pinned down, so we can handle fewer enemies at once. So using these throwables wisely can give us a big advantage.
Wait for it. Didn't see that coming, did you?
When we enter a new area, we can eliminate enemies stealthily. We have the option to use either swords or guns to take them out, but using guns will alert nearby enemies. So to maintain stealth, we should stick to using swords. And there are a few segments where stealth is mandatory, which also can be annoying, because if you fail these sections, you have to replay the entire segment. Oh no, I pressed the wrong button.
Knock, knock. Be stealthy this time, jackass.
Oh, asshole. The game includes an upgrade system where we can access through a single button press. In this menu, you can purchase new melee weapons, guns and throwables. We can also upgrade weapons once we purchase them. Plus, we can boost player stats like maximum health and unlock new attack combos. In the game world, you can find ammo and throwables, but you won't be able to pick them up unless you have purchased the corresponding weapons or items from the upgrade menu.
This might be a good time to buy some upgrades. So buy upgrades.
The game has a somewhat okay enemy variety, but to keep things interesting, it doesn't introduce all enemies at once. As you progress through the story, you will unlock new enemy types. Also, some enemies gain unique abilities like shields, which apply shields to nearby enemies. So to defeat them all, we first need to take out those with the shield abilities before dealing with the rest. This adds a somewhat strategic layer to the combat. The game also features enemies who use close-range melee attacks and others who use guns. These enemies behave quite differently depending on their weapons. And enemy AI is also decent, as all the enemies actively try to deal as much damage as they can, while also dodging our attacks to stay alive. They will avoid grenades whenever they can, and gun-wielding enemies use cover, which requires different strategies to handle each type effectively. However, the boss battles could have used more variety. Despite the game being creative, the same creativity doesn't show up in these boss battles. Instead, they are just enemies with huge health bars, which can get pretty boring. If they added more layers to the boss fights, like changing forms that require different strategies to defeat, it would have been much better. So without these strategic layers, we end up just button mashing through enemies, since the same moves work on almost all the enemies. They even reused the exact same bosses.
Hey, didn't we kill those guys?
Must be more clones.
Oh, that's the case. They are clones. Alright, even though they are clones, at least they could have added some different attack patterns to spice things up, right? And the same goes for regular enemies too. Over 90% of the time, you can use the same method to defeat them. Even in the latter part of the game, they are basically just increase the number of enemies we face, so we end up mindlessly battling through the wave after wave of enemies. It's challenging, but it's get repetitive after a while. I mean, anyone can make a game challenging just by cranking up the number of enemies, right? It's one of the laziest ways to make a game challenging. So even though the combat is fun, it can get somewhat boring after a while without that strategic layer. The set pieces are definitely a high point in Deadpool. Even if some people think they are not that creative, I find them to be really clever, especially with the fourth wall breaking segments. They bring a unique flair to the game that's both entertaining and makes it memorable. And some of these scripted scenes are so clever and really stands out as some of the best sequences I have ever seen in a video game. They add a lot of personality and excitement to the game. Even though some of these moments were criticized as gimmicky, personally I believe they are the highlights of Deadpool because they break the usual gameplay mold and keep things fresh by introducing unique segments throughout the campaign. During the scripted segments and regular gameplay, the game introduces platforming elements like in Prince of Persia. We can use abilities like teleportation, wall-to-wall jumps, and double jumps to navigate these sections, so the existing platforming and traversal abilities are decent, but it would be great if they introduced more options, like expanding the gameplay with additional traversal abilities could make the game even more engaging. And after completing the campaign, we can take on time challenges where we must defeat waves of enemies within a set time limit. Additionally, there's an extras feature that lets us weave comic-based intros for all the characters encountered in the game. We also can replay any chapter we want, which is nice.
It was good, but not great.
Generally, Deadpool isn't the best looking game even by 2013 standards. While Deadpool's design is good, the environmental designs fall short. They can be quite pixelated and textures for distant locations, and buildings sometimes feel like they are from the PlayStation 2 era. However, there is some good environmental variety. At least that's a nice touch and adds to the game's appeal. And the lighting doesn't do much to improve the overall visual fidelity either. Also, many of the game's assets use low resolution textures, which is a letdown. Well, it seems like Deadpool blew his budget on explosives rather than improving the game itself.
The f was that? Bitch, you think that's what I do?
It also seems like the game relies entirely on hand-animated animations, which gives it a comic book feel. However, for a 2013 game, using motion capture, at least in cutscenes, could have added a touch of realism and where was I? Oh, it could have added a touch of realism and improved the overall visual quality. The game pays attention to detail with Deadpool's regenerative abilities. We can clearly see his battle damages, like his skin and muscles peeling away until his bones are visible. Plus he heals rapidly when he stays safe, which is a nice visual indicator. However, when Deadpool heals, his suit also repairs itself, which breaks immersion. In contrast, Wolverine Origins has the similar regenerative effect, but in that game, it keeps torn clothes even as Wolverine heals, making it feel more realistic than Deadpool.
No wonder the Avengers didn't take you, or the X-Men. They'll take f***ing anyone. Oh, you got nothing to say, mouth?
The Deadpool game features a rock soundtrack that really sells the action, even if it doesn't always match the game's humor. The combat music is solid and enhances the intensity. Additionally, the sound effects for decapitations, explosions, melee hits, and gunfire do a great job of complementing the action and elevating the overall gameplay experience. Oh, by the way, here's a fun fact about music. There's a YouTube channel called Team Headkick, aka THK, that makes video game soundtracks. They created a soundtrack for this Deadpool game, and it was so great that it was picked up and included in the first Deadpool movie. Actually, I used to know one of the guys from the THK on Facebook, but I haven't seen him recently. Maybe he blocked me or left Facebook, but here's more.
It's so boring. Make it stop.
Damn it, Wade!
Even though the game features a top-tier superhero like Wolverine, he isn't used at all in gameplay. They could have given him his own playtime with unique gameplay, which would have improved the gameplay variety. And even people love Wolverine and want to see more of him, so it's a missed opportunity not to include him more in the game. Oh, maybe they didn't include Wolverine because Deadpool blew the entire budget on explosions. Or maybe Wolverine's still knocked out from that plane crash.
Why? Whoa! You! Wake up! Wake up!
The fourth wall breaking is top tier and one of the highlights of the game. I laughed out loud during these moments, and sometimes they are even funnier than the segments in the movies. And some of these fourth wall breaking moments are really punchy and hit you right in the gut.
What were you doing over there?
Just a little surprise for our player.
You motherfucker. Nolan North's voice acting is fantastic. Well, I didn't think anyone could match Ryan Reynolds' portrayal, since he seemed born to be Deadpool. However, Nolan's performance really nailed Deadpool's character. It's one of the reasons I enjoy the humor so much in the game. Even Ryan Reynolds himself appreciated Nolan North's portrayal, which says a lot about how well he captured Deadpool's crazy personality.
Is this the Nolan North version?
Yes,
He's super
he's
funny.
fantastic.
Yeah, I love Nolan North.
So you can do the voice for him now if you want.
Yeah, I guess so, right? We could just...
Yeah, we can just.
I don't want to
cancel
dub
out all
Nolan
his
North.
work.
The guy's a genius.
So finally, even though I was considering giving Deadpool a mediocre rating, as I was cursed by this asshole a lot during the game, since I had some decent fun with it, I can give Deadpool a solid decent. Even it's very close to reaching that top tier level but doesn't quite get there. But with some improvements like refined gameplay, new chapters featuring different superheroes, and overall polish, I think it could rival Arkham games.
Oh, really?
Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to share and give it a like.
Seriously, roll credits. We're done here. Holy shit. That was awesome!
You're still here. It's over. Go home.